everyone, Tim Anderson here, aka Renfell, and welcome to my ongoing review of Mass Effect the Legendary Edition. And today we're covering Mass Effect 3, which in my mind is the best installment in the series. This is Bioware firing on all cylinders, some of the best writing and voice acting that you'll ever find in a video game. And a massive, massive cast of characters, especially if you're like me and you've done completionist versions of the first two games and you've managed to do the no one left behind achievement in Mass Effect 2. So all of these companions have carried over. All of these individuals that you went off and did side quests for, they carried over, and you're getting reintroduced to them throughout the course of Mass Effect 3. It's just amazing, and it's just an amazing game. Mass Effect 3 is the culmination of this first trilogy, and so this is everything here is turned up to 11. The stakes are so much higher. The animations are so much better. The level design is so much better. Every single cutscene is just jam packed with action and adventure. We're seeing massive space battles happening. The ground assaults are just intense battles. Um, this is the first game where I had to turn down the difficulty from normal mode on a couple of them because I kept just failed like 3, 4, 5 times in a row. Um, this game is intense. Having never played any of the previous DLC, I went through the Omega expansion the other day, and it was about, I think it was about, depending on your difficulty level, I went through it in a little over 4 hours. And I was just blown away. Like the voice acting, the writing, and everything was just like everything was just like top notch, triple A, everything. And then I played yesterday. I played the Citadel expansion, and it was a different type of writing, very comical, lots of cheesy one-liners. And then it opens up the Citadel expansion, or DLC, I should say, which is, you're getting the chance to have additional dialogue and more story with all of your side characters and everything else. And I'm still going through that right now. Um, but yeah, let's talk a little bit about Mass Effect 3. This isn't really is it worth it because of the fact that the Legendary Edition is worth it, and if you've picked up the Legendary Edition, you're getting all three of these games for that single price. So this is more of just a general overview of the game, and I do have some notes here that I want to get through. But just overall, I just want to tell everybody that for me, this is my favorite entry into the series. It's the one game in the series that, again, I had only ever played it once, and that was when it launched. And so I'm coming into this kind of from scratch because I don't really remember anything from this game, which has made it feel like a brand new game to me. And with the visual overhauls and everything else, it's just top notch. It's very, very fun. Highly recommend as you get through the series. Sink your teeth into this game. It's really, really good. All right, so first and foremost, if you've done all the previous games and you've carried a lot of characters over, but one of the first things I noticed was so I saved Ashley in the first game, and it was funny because I heard Ash and Phoenix over on Crash Bandicoot referred to her as the space racist, and I was like, oh my god, that's so true. But I was trying to pursue a romantic relationship with her in the first game, so I let Caden fall to the wayside. When she showed up in this game, she looks completely different, and I was like, wow, Ashley's like kind of hot like now. Like I never really, she was just a human warrior in the first couple of games. But in this game, like she's got her hair down, and they've done a visual overhaul on her, so she looks a little bit different. And her character is still struggling with that space racism, so to speak, but she is in a better headspace, especially if as you progress through the story. If you're pursuing it from a Paragon perspective, which I am. Um, we've got some new characters, and I like just I know some people have criticisms of him as an actor, but I love Freddie Prinze Jr. Yeah, he did a lot of kind of silly romantic comedies in the 90s, and I've talked about this before on the show. He did the Wing Commander movie, which I still think to this day is one of the coolest, funnest sci-fi movies that I've watched. I love Freddie Prinze Jr. in that movie. Um, And of course, he does a lot of voice acting, and what he's done with Star Wars Rebels has established him as one of the premier Star Wars like canon characters. And so, just his voice acting work is great. I like him as an actor. His character is a little shallow. That's the only complaint I have about the way, but that's not his responsibility. It's the way his character is written, where he's kind of like this like token Latino, um, like calling the commander loco and throwing in the occasional Spanish word like cerveza and gracias. It's a token Latin character, which I've kind of has always made me laugh, but that's not his fault. He does a good job with the character. Um, the the overlying story here, which I love, is this I'm the hero and they finally want to listen to me. It makes a lot of sense from the storyline perspective. Is like you've been trying to tell the galaxy and tell all these leaders for the past couple of games that this threat is coming, the Reapers are coming, and suddenly and now everyone wants to listen to you after it's kind of like too late. It just makes me laugh from a perspective of it's your fault for never having listened to me in the first place. Um, Let me go through my notes here. Uh, the one thing I would say, if you look at the overall design of Mass Effect 3, they kind of went back to Mass Effect 1 at this point. The upgrade system for weapons is back, just like it was in the first one. Um, the combat is the combat's more similar to Mass Effect 2, but they've just refined it a little bit more, so it definitely feels more like a shooter. I mean, this definitely feels like a shooter with some RPG elements thrown in. Um, the weapon weight and recharge speed is sort of like it's just a mechanic that you have to work around, and it's going to just kind of vary depending on what type of character you're playing. I'm going through this game as a soldier, and I only ever use the assault rifle. I don't care about any other weapons. So for me, I just don't worry about the weapon weight because it doesn't affect me. I don't carry a shotgun. I don't carry a pistol. I don't carry a submachine gun. I literally only have the assault rifle. Um, but there are so many more weapons in this game. Like I mean, I think I have 10 different assault rifles at this point. And it's just like every mission, I'm finding a new one. So there's a whole range of weapons that you can choose from. Not only could you upgrades, but you can also buy levels or progress your gun through the various levels. I'm up to 5. I don't know if there's beyond 5. I don't remember. Um, but there's levels and tiers for your weapons as well as all the different upgrades. But I feel like this is Bioware firing on all cylinders. So they took like the best of 1 and 2 and turned it into 3. So you've got the combat and everything from Mass Effect 2. But you don't have to deal with the stupid Mako, thankfully, because I hate the Mako. Um, and the combat is much more fluid, and they went back to the upgrade system of Mass Effect 1 as opposed to the upgrade system of Mass Effect 2, which was more about just mining a bunch of random resources on planets and doing missions and etc. So there's kind of a throwback to that. Um, this When I look at the overall aspect of Mass Effect 3, you are culminating this massive story. So you have to bring that to a close, and there's a lot going on here. And because of that, sometimes it almost feels a little overwhelming because you're going into all of these missions, and every single mission feels like it's end of the world type situation. Like every single mission you're doing is like this is like the utmost, absolutely most important thing to save the species, to save everybody. The one thing I don't like though, and this is just a slight flavor thing for me, is even though overall Shepard is concerned with if you're playing like a Paragon like I am, the overall thing is we're trying to save, all of these species from extinction. But there is still this underlying humanity first tone to everything. And that's to some degree because he's part of the Alliance, and so he's part of the Earth military. And of course, you start off on Earth, and the whole reason that you're getting reinstated into the military is because we have to save Earth. That's the reasoning that Anderson and Hackett and your commanding officers give you. Like, we have to save Earth, but we can't save Earth without the help of all of these other species. We can say races as well, whatever you want to call them, but I just say species because that's what they are. Um, so it's it's tricky and it's difficult to navigate sometimes because there's a part of my brain that's always going, the only reason we're doing any of this is because we're trying to save Earth. There's not a sense of there's not nearly a sense of we're all in this together, even though the dialogue sometimes promotes that. Hey, let's save the galaxy. We can't do it alone. We all got to pitch in. We all got to come together. The Krogans don't want to help the Celestians and etc. because of the genophage and all this other stuff. But at the end of it, it's like every single time Shepard goes into a mission, the underlying thing is because he's got to check in with Hackett. Every single mission, he's checking in with the home base and who's leading the construction of this crucible, this big device that's going to supposedly take care of the Reaper threat. The humans are leading that. And so at the end of the day, it still is very much humans are the most important species in the galaxy. And so we have to save humans because if we don't save humans, everybody else is screwed because without humans, they don't know how to do anything and they can't handle it. And I don't like that aspect of the storyline. And maybe that's just me as an adult because I didn't see that when I was younger. I say adult. I mean, this game came out when I was in my mid 20s, but as a 41-year-old individual looking back on this, I see a lot of tropes playing out, and that's the only takeaway I have from the storyline is that as epic as the story is, as much as I love this game, as much as I love everything that's going on, there is that sense of I wish. Why does humanity have to be the most important? Like, I kind of get that from the perspective of we need to make the main character we have to give him a reason for someone to want to care about his mission and everything else. But at the same time, I'm feeling like as I play through this game that humanity is not the most important species. Like they've only been on the galactic scene for a few hundred years at this point, compared to these other spacefaring races that have been around for, they've been floating around the stars for thousands of years. So why are we suddenly the most important? Why are we the ones running the war effort? Why aren't we lesser on that totem pole? There's just some aspects of that I don't really care for in the storyline, but it doesn't detract from my enjoyment whatsoever. I'm having a lot of fun with this game. I'm really looking forward. I guess there's multiple DLCs, and that's one of the reasons I bought the Legendary Edition in the first place, was not to replay all of the original games exactly how I played them the first time. It was to come in and explore the content that I had never played because I had really never played any of the DLC content for these games. And so far, the DLC content for Mass Effect 3 is blowing all the other DLCs out of the water in terms of just the sheer, like, you can even tell when you go into like Omega. I was like immediately like, I didn't realize it was a DLC when I first started the mission. And then I'm like 3 hours into it going, is this a DLC? Because I feel like this mission has been going on for a long time. And I literally went online. I was like, oh yeah, this is one of the official DLCs. Because I was in my second session. It did 3 sessions for the Omega. Each one was about an hour and a half. And I just kind of was like I said, it was the end of the second session, and I'm like looking it up online, going, "This feels really long." And then I was like, "Oh my god," because it felt longer. The graphics were better. Everything was just better. The quality of everything, and I was like, obviously it felt different. So when I looked it up, I was like, "Oh, so this was something they did after the fact," and it was just really well done. So overall, Mass Effect 3 for me, I think is the best entry into the series. Um, I do have a vague recollection of how it ends. Obviously, there is an extended edition ending that they did, which I've never played through, so I'm interested and intrigued to see how that plays out. Um, but for me, most importantly for me is that I'm really enjoying this game, and it's definitely bigger and better than the first two games combined, I think. And it's cool because I'm pursuing Tally as a romance option, and I do remember that you get to see her face. I've heard that they changed her face for this game because I remember the controversy when this game first came out was that they used someone's stock photo and just like sci-fi glamored it. But apparently they did some original artwork for it this time around, so I'm looking forward to that. I love her character. She's just so awkward in those social moments, but she's a badass on the field. My wife actually sat and watched me play through this mission last night where we were on a Geth ship, and she was just like all intrigued by the Geth and who's Legion and why is he on your side but you're killing all the other robots and who's Tally and what's going on here. So it's just been a lot of fun. So great kind of end to the trilogy. Established Bioware as this company that once again had proven that they could kick ass with storylines, and leads to Mass Effect Andromeda, which I think is a great entry into the series, even though a lot of other people might disagree with me. But I'm going to be going and replaying that after I finish this trilogy as well. Possibly streaming that entire thing, we'll see. But in the meantime, those of you who have never played this before, hopefully I didn't spoil too much. But if you've played this before and you're having as much fun as I am, great. It's a great game. It's worth being enjoyed. Uh, if you haven't already done so, don't forget to hit the bell icon, follow along with this channel, like, comment, all those other things. All that stuff helps out in the algorithm, and I really appreciate all of you following along as I've played through this game and done a review series on it, and hopefully you will join for all the other things I do here on the channel. Pick up a subscription in the links below to our Patreon page to support what I do here on YouTube or what we're doing over there with Project Drammond, and I will see everybody in the next episode. Stay safe out there, folks.